Probes are still coming out. He's chrono boosting his cybernetics core. But that sentry is very telling. If he was looking to be any kind of aggressive with gateway units, that would be a stalker. Almost guarantee it. So I love the lair. Probably second gas coming up here too. Your mineral, I mean, it's going to look weird. Your economy looks weird when you take the high yield first. But those drones down there are, you know, extra. They're fancy drones. They're mining a lot. And okay, he's moving down. So you want to poke, see if there's a pylon or a nexus coming up. And multiple sentries. So this is an expansion build, which is great. I just go take my natural. And now we're entering that time where maybe, actually, probably just make speed lanes and deny scouting. You don't even need the roaches yet. But one thing you do need to start doing is getting these creep tumors down. So you got one in your base you need to work with, but then you want to get one from your high yield. You got to connect those bases. If this enters the mid game and they're on islands, you're in a lot of trouble. You just lost all your lings, and now every Protoss, and I just got done coaching on this, if they ever kill all your lings, they got to come after you. Because they want to force you to make more. But also, it's a capital moment here. You're not going to be able to defend that hatchery. Because he'll do that. He'll just force field your base. Love this little ling counter. Absolutely love it. Get the warp in. Get the warp in. Good. And now he's got to come home. So you actually just bought yourself more time. Now instantly rebuild that hatchery. And you probably should have gone after the pylon. But you're already going after the nexus. You got to. There you go.
Die, zealot, damn it. That makes me sad.
And now just the same thing. So roach speed, probably first, then burrow. And now you can't get caught in your base like you did last time. It's okay to cancel it once, but anything more is probably pretty bad. And keep those creep tumors. Okay, you're doing a good job. But those need to connect. Once you're at lair, I'd even get drones down. Or, excuse me, overlords. It's actually so important. So we're coming up on that time where he's going to scout it. And like I said, when a Protoss sees that, they have a little aneurysm. They freak out just a little bit. Oh, and I think Root Cats is actually in your stream, and he's talking about how he actually follows up with Banelings, which I do recall. So instead of roaches, get Banelings.
I forgot that he said that yesterday. Make a couple.
And he's probably put in the work to find out which one's better. I like roaches personally in this situation, but if they do like that 4-gate, the Banelings are really good because it will just be gateway units. You can chew apart their zealots. Very few Protoss will follow it up with like the 2-gas slow 4-gate where they have a bunch of sentries.
Alright, so I want to make a few lings now to kind of go with these roaches.
He's saying if you show mass ling, it forces zealot sentry, which is actually what he did. He did go zealot sentry because I mean he didn't see mass ling, but that's what he followed it up with. So just a little note for the future. But right now you're on 3 base. You have excellent saturation. Give you an idea what your income is at.
No, I don't know, but I feel like I'm pretty well off.
Pretty good. It's actually equal. It's actually a little bit less than his, interestingly enough. I think that's just because of the lack of saturation. Your third has been depleted a little bit, and if you notice, you've got 900 gas banking here. You don't need that, Mr. Bitter.
So you think I should stop mining gas, or I should start getting upgrades?
Yeah, I'd take the high yield guys off the gas. Get full saturation there. Yeah, I think if you go roaches like this, you don't need it. Okay, so he's moving out. So you got to talk about a position here. You're kind of straddling. And here's that problem. Okay, so he's already at your third, and he's got a lot of sentries, so he's going to be able to dictate position here. You got to be using up all this larva. Excellent. Well, kind of good positioning. You got to go in the broodlords are out, or not broodlords, but there you go. Get the sentries. Yes. Oh my God. The poor Protoss. No. JMag is so sad. And that's fine. You mostly mine the space. You almost don't even need to rebuild it. Just take your normal standard. Okay, or take the other high yield. But you just crushed the Protoss army again and killed something like a 900 gas commitment to sentries. There's almost no coming back from that. So again, I would pour it on. I would creep highway to his base, and you got to be hitting these injections. You got your queens congregating again. That's probably because of your terrible hotkeys that you refuse to change.
You're the best hotkeys ever.
Got a couple of roaches down at that X3rd. You've got drones just idling at the base of the ramp. I would send them to the high yield already. You want to saturate it instantly. And okay, there's a couple of mortals out, so we do need to start mixing in some lings for the surround, reduce the shields. But, I mean, that's supposing he's not dead right here, and I think he is dead. Now remember the creep highway. I want you to push yourself. Get those overlords dumping creep along the way to his base. Love the rallying. Ling's coming in. You still got those 3 roaches at the dead high yield. Hitting your injections. You need to use these evolution chambers. And if you ever make banelings, I feel like you need to make banelings speed as well. I mean, of course, this is all semantics. This game is over.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent job. So, a couple of improvements. Very nice of Mr. Katz to tune in and help us out through the chat. He did talk about how you need to follow it up with speedlings and show them the masslings, because that'll give them the natural reaction of being more zealot sentry heavy. And that's why you go banelings, is because they'll have less stalkers, more zealot sentries. And as we saw in this game, if you get banelings off on sentries, it's actually so gross.
Yeah.
They all just detonated like they were Marines, only they're much, much more expensive than Marines. And then one of the problems was you kind of lost track of his army. Like, you lost those 4 lings that were watching the front of his base, and then he moved out. And by the time you started reacting, he was already heading up the ramp into your 3rd. So ideally, especially with this style Zerg, you engage in the middle of the map where all those sentries are relatively ineffective. I mean, they're of course effective, but they just take more force fields, right? You have disposable units because you have a higher base count, you have more money coming in, you just have more ability to throw stuff away. So as long as he's not churning you up with Colossus and eating you like, 5-to-1 ratio, you're going to win out if you just lean on him after that point.
Right. Fantastic.
And now we're going into Game 3 in this series, and you've cheesed him twice, both with the high yield. And I would say go like super standard game this time. And basically play off of that. With those speedlings, shut down his scouting super, super hard, right? Don't let it go about at all.
I've got a build that I've been working on that I'm starting to really like. Maybe you can comment on it. Maybe you've played against something similar. That I really like against...
Ling Infester?
No.
Okay.
Well, it's basically standard army composition, but kind of against the macro style that you tend to promote, I guess would be the best way to say
Okay.
it. I like going 14 pool and then double expanding off of that 14 pool.
Cool.
Just because I feel like it prompts a macro game from the Protoss, and if he sits back, he's not going to... I don't know. I haven't... It's just something I've been working on. So I might bust that one out for this next game, and we'll see what happens. He's checking that last replay so that he can figure out what the hell happened.
Oh, you're watching the replay?
He is.
Oh. Well, that's fine, J-Mag. We'll just wait on you. It's not like there's people watching, and it's fine. He is a competitive guy, though. I started working with him. He's funny.
He's a good friend of mine, and a great dude.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He says, "I have no clue what happened. I have watched it, and I just don't know." In his French accent.
It's a good build. It's a good build. It's just unfortunate because Katz is such a community guy that he streams and he does it and he teaches people it. So every time I play him on this map, I just blind counter it. He's a mana bear about it, though. He still says a good game. I'd be pissed.
Man, his the way he just thinks about the game, in my opinion, is a little bit different from the way a lot of us other folks think about the game. J-Mag has chosen Delta Quadrant.
It's a good Protoss map. Not necessarily, like I said though, this is not death for Zergs necessarily. It's tough, but it's not super, super bad. Like, I think Steppes is as bad as it gets. Then Jungle Basin's pretty bad, and then Delta Quadrant would probably be number 3. It's up there, but it's not. It's not super, super bad.
He's reconnecting. I hope. Alright, so, I was thinking about maybe playing macro style now, but here this is a map that I'm almost afraid to do it. Do you think I should not back off of that stance, or what?
Well, I think we should take it this way. We're playing this like a series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if this were an independent ladder game, then sure, we're going to use those antics. But this is game 3. We've done the high yield trick with him twice, a 7 pool and just a high yield first. I think in game 3, we're going to be able to put him into a paranoid schizophrenic state. Just go standard, open up speed lane first, and shut down his scouting.
Okay. That's what I will do.
The other nice thing about a series like this, like I guess we're assuming it's a best of 5 now, because you're up 2-0. It would have been over and done with if this were a best of 3.
Right.
Is after this, you get to pick the map. He's actually got to beat you on your maps 3 times in a row now. Or, well, 2 times after this.
Yeah.
So every Zerg picks Scrap Station as game 4. And then if you lose that, then it's probably Blistering Sands. Or if you feel like you're just better than them, it's Metalopolis or Lost Temple.
We require more minerals.
2-gate does have its place. I did 2-gate last night, won in the Clan War.
Man, I got proxy 2-gated today on Shakuras in a ladder game.
Yep, and that's why Shakira's is actually quite difficult, because it's like the either end of the seesaw. It's either like super macro game and both people just know that, or one guy cheeses the shit out of you because it's a super macro map.
It feels like it's a really good place for toss to proxy, because you can proxy. You know what side of the map he's on. You can just hide the pylon on the low ground between the 2 naturals.
Yep.
And it's nasty. I was very sad. So I'm gonna go actually kind of an aggressive speed lane, 13 pool or 13 gas, 12 pool. And I'll maybe double expo off of it. We'll see.
I like it. Double expo on this map is a little bit harder, because if you look around, either he's right next to you and you can expand away from him, which is good, or he's across the map and you're actually expanding towards him.
Right.
Unless you use those lings to kill the rocks, then double expo, which I like. I'd be partial to that personally.
Maybe we'll try that. That's a pretty quick probe, so I'm gonna just... Well, this is just small map. I don't know. I kind of think he's up at top right. But who knows?
We'll see. Close positions on this map's really difficult, but this is also how I lost last night. I was like, oh great, close positions, gonna totally win this. But then he shows up with lings and roaches, and I did a poor job scouting. It was risky though, like I said earlier. You're taking a risk that way, because if I just destroy the back rocks and expand there, then it's...
Yeah.
Now, with your lings, you always want to check your expansion spot first, just because there could be a probe there. I mean, I guess you got this next pair coming out, so you're fine.
And so we are cross.
And cross is great. In these positions, I mean, it's obviously you have like a 33% chance of this happening, but I think this map becomes pretty normal in this situation. I don't feel like it continues to favor Protoss too much. It's just that with the 2 bases on your side, there's a 66% chance that they're close positions with you, and that's really uncomfortable for the Zerg, given their expansion spots. So you did force him to Chrono Boost out that sentry, which is nice, and you saw him Chrono Boost his Cybernex core. Doesn't necessarily mean anything just yet. We want to have these